Welcome to my channel. If you're new, welcome, and to our Fortune community, welcome back. Thank you so much for your support and for your comments. In this video, we will continue with the book titled The Mind's Attainment by Uriel Buchanan. I must share with you that while many of the concepts presented by the author are not new to me, I have really enjoyed its simplicity and in that gained a whole new way of seeing these old concepts. And I am enamored with the idea that through our work of elevating ourselves, we may not see it this time around, but definitely every time that each one of us elevates our thoughts to the higher, the better, the beautiful, we elevate the race. And yes, it seems altruistic that there could be the possibility of a new race without disease, perfect in every form and function, possessing a knowledge of the laws which govern life, as the author mentioned. So I believe it in my heart because in my own life, I have seen the law at work. And even when I'm not feeling my best, I could tell you that as I am thinking, that is how I continue to build the foundation for the future. Hence the law of cause and effect, which in reality, in my opinion, is the law of attraction. And with that, I venture on to the next chapter. Human progress. There are no living witnesses to the marvelous scenes which belong to the primary processes of world building, for in the earlier stages of the planet's formation, no individualized self-consciousness life could exist. But man may read the story of the Earth's unfoldment from the hieroglyphs of nature, from the mountain cliffs, the sand-swept deserts, the majestic rivers, and the billowy seas. From the milestones along the mysterious way, aided by the illumined vision of science, man may look back through centuries upon centuries that had passed away before the period of human existence upon this planet began. Back to the time when the moving force of universal life first projected itself into crystallized form in the bosom of the earth as mineral. He may follow the continuous and progressive gradations of life through its manifestation in the protoplasmic slime in the ancient seas, ever onward through the ages of evolution from the tiniest finny beings to the monstrous creatures that finally emerged from the bed of the Silurian Ocean and crawled over vast bogs and roamed through primeval forests. By the destructive agencies, the huge, clumsy forms were broken into pieces again and again, and cast into the crucible of nature to be remolded each time into symmetrical and fairer shapes. Thus all forms have been slowly evolved from the gross to the delicate, from the simple to the complex, from mammoth to man. The force imprisoned in the chrysolite obeys the impulse of progressive change. In its demand for onward march, and mineral form is broken, and life repictures itself into shape after shape, more and more wonderful in structure. The strength and power that first bound the atoms in the solid rock now paints the flower with tints of wondrous beauty, grows in the foliage, lives in the trembling leaves, opens broadly in the sunlight, and is kissed by the wooing breeze. Slowly the grasp of matter relaxes its hold, and life is evolved from the plant and the tree to the plane of animal existence, where conscious power is first made manifest through instinct and love. The cruder forces of animal strength begin to respond to the influence of mind, until the dumb creatures of the higher order of the animal kingdom approach the threshold of that domain that belongs to the dignity and glory of man. The primitive races of mankind dwelt in caves, in rude huts, and beneath twisted boughs. Tribes were separated by unexplored regions. Man wandered at will through unclaimed forests. Continents were divided by mysterious and unsailed seas. But the movement of the palpable life stream has flooded the world and carried forward on its slow-moving tide the people of every continent. Those who have explored the ancient ruins, which survive in many lands, find the symbols of the same mystery graven upon the walls. Identical symbols were used by tribes on opposite parts of the globe, even in that far-off time when the world was young and the race simple and untaught. Long before cables of steel had united the continents and long before ships had navigated the seas. One of the earliest emblems used to express the invisible forces of nature and the perpetual life of the human race was that of the serpent. While the symbol of the serpent has an important place in the magical lore of Egypt and in the sacerdotal mysteries of Oriental lands, it was also used as a sacred emblem by the primitive races of America and is a prominent figure among the surviving works of the mound builders. Hence, we see that the races of mankind, even in the long ago, were united by the invisible currents of thought which flowed from one source and impelled humanity onward. And from century to century, we see a gradual unfolding of the human race, passing from stage to stage along the ascending spiral, manifesting in greater fullness the power and supremacy of mind. Reason, at first rude and untaught, has become radiant with knowledge and crowned with jeweled thoughts as beautiful and vast as the sky of stars. Affection, once narrow and selfish, has grown to a love and sympathy that is broad and true. Man's marvelous skill in the fine arts, his wondrous handicrafts, his magic power and mastery in every department of nature, together with his trained reason and the maturity of his heart and conscience, rightly place him on a height far up on the road of attainment. One of the most potent principles operating to purify and elevate humanity is the influence of love. It is love that lightens the burdens of life and animates to ceaseless toil. Love lights the eyes with an unfading luster and paints the cheeks with a magnetic glow. The spirit of love that throbs in every heart enables man to see some ray of light in the mind of the most ignorant, some gleam of hope in the bosom of the most depraved. The man who is dominated by the spirit of love is like the magnet to fragments of steel. His thoughts are deep and pure. His words are like the music of a stream. We look up into the heavens at night and behold the countless worlds moving with magical equilibrium through boundless space, held in their appointed places by the law of attraction, which is another name for love. We look about us and see in all nature a manifestation of the silent and ceaseless power of love, expressing itself in every blade of grass, giving symmetry and beauty to every tree and plant and flower. In all animate creation, below the race of human beings, there is the guiding presence of an instinct whose monitions are unerringly followed by the untaught creatures of earth. We see a manifestation of this presence in the active life of the bee as it gathers honey from the flowers in distant fields and returns in a straight course to its native hive. We see this presence manifested in the migratory instinct of birds as they come and go with the changing seasons of the year. The carrier pigeon, when freed from captivity, rises and circles in the air and takes an undeviating flight to its native home. There is a voice within which makes itself heard above the heated centers of commercial life, above the din and noise of the clashing streets. It is that wordless voice which whispers from the inmost depths of the heart's sanctuary. It is that all-pervading interior light which has lighted man's way through the passing centuries. To one who listens, it will make of life a song. To one who accepts this light as guide, his career will be a symphony. It is a faculty of perception in the mind which gives one a knowledge not taught by the academies, reveals truths unknown to scholastic systems, gives culture without the college, and endows the mind with wisdom and power. This silent voice, this inexpressible light, is the highest heritage of humanity. Those who persistently ignore it and refuse to cultivate it grow tired of the years, grow tired of the world, grow old and die. Those who cherish the light and follow its monitions are continually renewed from the invisible sources and are given strength to go on with their work and their life and to pass from victory to victory. Regarded faithfully, it reveals the secret of life and indicates destiny's crown. It continually whispers in subdued tones, "This is the way. Come up higher." It is the one infallible oracle and trustworthy guide to ways of righteousness and peace. Let no false teaching, however enticing, no authority, however gilded, blind you to the interior light and take from you its leading. What the world needs is to have this light increased, to inculcate the ideal, to manifest the harmonies of a nobler and truer existence. Call it what you will, intuition, intellect, conscience, wisdom, or the dictates of reason. Words fail to describe its qualities. No language can define its attributes. It is nevertheless a presence that is felt by all at times and is never absent from the heart where hope dwells. Where pure life glows, where reason's torch burns brightest, where truth has its home and love its shrine, there the invisible presence abides, and no harm will come to those who walk in the shadow of its radiance. No fatality can lurk in their hearts, no misfortune attend their destiny. For the rays of this light will penetrate and purify the mind and heart, and its hidden fire will consume all dross. It is not that this presence is ever withdrawn that men wander from the center of rest and peace, from the threshold of happiness and power. For this light to man is like the presence of the visible sun to the material world. The heat through the summer day is more intense, though the earth in reality is farther away from its source and its sustenance than it is through the coldest days of the winter. It is not the vast distance or nearness, but the nature of the aspect which determines the degree of the light and the warmth the earth receives from the sun. The more direct the rays are, the more intense will the heat be. Likewise, it is man's aspect and relation to the interior light which determines the nature of his life and destiny. The light is there. It shines on eternally. It is man who vacillates, not the light, sometimes in close affinity with the positive pole of goodness and truth, again vibrating to the opposite pole of negation and darkness. Let us invoke the light and bask in the direct rays of its presence. And like the needle to the pole, if the storms of affliction and the tumult of the senses cause the desires and the will to swerve from this center of truth and goodness, of love and light, let us swing back again after the clouds have vanished and guide the frail bark of our life safely to the haven of its rest and its gladness. Let us cultivate a keener perception of our glorious possibilities and hasten our progress on the upward path that leads to the attainment of the highest happiness, which is the rightful heritage of our earthly existence. Nowhere in all the universe can there be a place more appropriate for our expression and advancement than is to be found on the planet of our present abode. For it is here we were placed by the creative power which brings into existence all creatures in accordance with the divine plan, the supreme law of design, which fills the vast void with shining stars, sends them whirling through trackless space in orderly and rhythmic movements, and with mathematical precision and artistic touch, gives perfect form and beauty of coloring to the numberless things which spring brightly to being on the galaxy of worlds. End of chapter 17. Stay right here as we move on to the next chapter. So in the meantime, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment, let me know you were here, and go ahead, sit back as we move on to chapter 18, Divine Guidance. The chief aim of life is to advance to an ever-increasing capacity for happiness and ever-growing power of expression. Everything in nature is eternally progressive. We cannot stop growing. Every experience, every feeling and thought affect a change in the mind. Every human being desires to obtain the most happiness with the least possible gain. But man cannot escape the laws of nature. There is only one way to fullness of life, to power and happiness, to wisdom and love, and to the realization of all the hopes and yearning of the human heart. And that way leads us to live in harmony with the law of our being, with the law of nature, and the law of the Supreme Mind. These blend in perfect order. Man, occupying the highest plane, may come into close relationship with the Supreme Mind and may consciously cooperate with the mind in helping forward the life of the world. It is the law of the Supreme Mind that all men should live in harmony and usefulness, that all men should be active, noble, progressive. The violation of any one of these laws will bring pain. The man who wanders from the appointed path is warned time and again of the dangers ahead. He is warned by pain, by unrest, by fear and failure. The chastening hand of an unseen power is ever pressing against him, urging him to be guided by higher principles, to find the better way. When man lives in harmony with the divine law and is always true to the higher leadings, he will rise superior to pain and unpleasant experiences. He will grow in power to attract all that he needs of material things. His body will be free from weakness and pain. His mind will be positive and clear. He will have power to concentrate his mental forces on any plan or undertaking and attract the agencies needed to carry out that plan. To keep the mind in the right current of thought will endow the body with more strength, more power of endurance, and give it more symmetry and beauty. To keep the mind in the right state to attract more and more of the Supreme Force will give ability to realize every desire and demand. When you demand power from the unseen, you may rest assured that you will receive the force needed to accomplish your plan or purpose. The supreme power is always at the command of one who places his mind in a childlike attitude to receive. To have faith in the existence of that power as you have faith in the law of gravitation, to cooperate with it and direct it, will give you unlimited capacity. The one who is most successful in life keeps his mind in the attitude of cooperation with the supreme power. To keep in touch with the unseen currents of power will give inspiration, courage, and insight. You will have faith in the goodness of law. You will know that every earnest demand will obtain an answer. Every desire of your heart will be gratified. In thought, you will never acknowledge an impossibility. Every failure man makes is caused by severing connection with the source of his strength and inspiration, by trusting to his own limited powers apart from any invisible help or guidance. Man's egotism and ignorance are his greatest foes. The gratification of selfish and ignoble passions deaden his sensibilities. He feels no longer the cares of the unseen hand. Ignoring the help of the infinite power, he shuts himself off from the source of supplies. But the race is being taken out of the shadows. The great silent force of nature is urging to larger growth, inspiring man's mind with new thoughts and greater power. As he advances to higher realms of thought, he is gaining more confidence, more courage. He knows that by keeping his mind receptive to the higher influences, there will come a constant inflow of happiness and peace. He knows that by working in harmony with the Supreme Mind, his life will be a constant succession of victories. There are many who have learned to invoke the aid of the infinite power. They have faith in themselves because they are sustained by immortal energies. It does not matter to them if things seem uncertain. They may not be able to see the pathway of their future, but they know that it will lead them upward to greater joy, to wider freedom. They know that the eternal and constant law of progress will lead them on. They know they will emerge from the shadow, from every sorrow. They know that the infinite light is shining steadfastly in the heavens, and they will be led by its beckoning ray. You need to have more faith in yourself, faith in the laws of life, faith in the infinite power of which your being is an inseparable part. Why lack faith when you see the evidence of truth and justice, of wisdom and love in every star, in the order and beauty of nature, in the golden glow of the sunset? Looking back over the winding pathway, can you not see how you have been led by an unseen hand, by a faithful power which called your wandering thoughts back, which turned you from imminent danger, which brought you time and again out of the gloom, which placed your feet on the solid ground and gave you more strength and courage? When we look back and see how often we have been worried, how we have stumbled, how we have been moved by fear and tortured by needless pain, and when we see how, at the critical moment, when all seemed lost, the clouds vanished, and we beheld the thing we had feared transformed into some blessing, is it not time that we banish doubt and walk in the light of unwavering faith? There is absolutely nothing in the universe to fear. If we recognize our nearness to the infinite power, if we respond to the mind's high leading and walk in the path of truth, we will overcome all things. We will work in harmony with the unfathomable power of the boundless universe, from which will come every blessing which the human heart can desire. We are parts of the infinite power, and that power within us is ever carrying us up to higher planes of being, to more perfect expression, and to greater joys. Man, in his ignorance, is like the bewildered stream blindly groping its way down the steep hillside, turned in its course by every resistance it meets, rushing, retreating, and halting, moved by the weak force of an inferior instinct. Some invisible power carries it onward. It knows not the nature of that power. It seems to be carried by an impulse from within. After a time, the stream grows wider and deeper, its currents less swift. Then it enlarges to the calm, peaceful river which flows steadily and unerringly through the wide valleys on its appointed way to the sea. Likewise, man is led onward by the mysterious force of a superior destiny. At first, he rushes about impetuously and murmurs because of the restrictions imposed by the law. But his consciousness grows broader and deeper with the march of the years, and in the clear waters of mind, he sees a reflection of some of the great truths of the universe. His vision of the beauty of that inner world of ideas inspire him to a life of noble endeavor. Humanity, as a whole, is like the stream and rivers of earth. All men are moving irresistibly onward, carried by some mysterious power they feel, but cannot fathom. Humanity at last will reach the boundless sea, where there will be no discord, no unrealized yearnings, no limitation. Deep down in the still waters, all hearts will find peace. End of chapter 18. Let's head over to chapter 19 for a lesson from nature.